Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Canterbury Catholic, and in today's video, should be a short video, at least shorter than my previous video. I'm going to be discussing some news coming from His Holiness Pope Francis. The Holy Father announced today on Twitter, today being March 15th, 2020, he said on Friday 25th, on Friday 25 March, during the celebration of penance at 1700 hours in St. Peter's Basilica, I will consecrate #Russia and #Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, #PrayTogether, #Peace. Now this is big news. And this is big news kind of regardless of how you feel. So he's consecrating Russia. And automatically that, with Catholics, that kind of makes our ears perk up a little bit, because that takes us automatically to Fatima. For those of you who don't know, Our Lady of Fatima are apparitions that occurred in the early 20th century, in which Our Lady appeared to a group of, I think, 3 children in Fatima, Portugal, over a period of a couple months, and basically gave some instructions and some requests to be carried out, and these are kind of known, and the results of kind of this warning by Our Lady are known as the Secrets of Fatima. And one of the requests by Our Lady was that Russia would be consecrated to her Immaculate Heart, and that if and when that happened, there would be peace. Now, there were multiple attempts historically before I get into that. So that's the background on Fatima. And so today, the Holy Father announces that he will be consecrating, he will be fulfilling that portion, that request by Our Lady at Fatima, by consecrating Russia. And this is a very good thing, regardless of how you feel about Fatima, regardless of how you feel about the previous attempts at consecrations, at the consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Regardless of how you feel, this is a good thing, objectively speaking. I think that, I say this as someone who, I tend to take private revelation with a grain of salt. Even ones sanctioned and approved, or rather approved by the church. Personally, I try not to tie myself too much down to private revelation, simply because I think devotion to a specific private revelation can sometimes turn into superstition and become the sort of basis and the sort of cookie cutter lens by which you view many aspects of the faith. In other words, I don't want to use, say, something that may have happened at Guadalupe or Fatima, and become so deep and entrenched and have my faith based so much on that it becomes a sort of template and rubric by which I view other things within the church, whether they be, the current goings on within the church, or theological opinions, and so on and so forth, if that makes any sense. So that's not to say that I don't believe anything happened at Fatima, or that the church is wrong to approve these apparitions. That's not the case at all. I'm just not someone who I spend a lot of time kind of reflecting on Fatima and other Marian apparitions. So, all that being said, as someone who is not particularly tied and devoted to the stories and Our Lady at Fatima and what happened there, this is a very good thing, especially now, because I think it was Father Jason Sharon said this on Pints with Aquinas the other day when he and Matt Fradd sat down for, I think, the second time. He equated, or he stated that basically everything that's going on right now between Ukraine and Russia and the whole world just kind of watching and waiting to see what happens, and where this all goes and how this all resolves, that this is all a spiritual issue, that it started on a spiritual basis as a result of spiritual deficiencies, and it will be resolved through spiritual means. And the Holy Father acknowledging that is very, very good. For all the things that we can criticize Pope Francis on, I think one of the things that sometimes does not get criticized enough, or at least doesn't get thought of enough, is the fact that being a pope in the 21st century, it's very easy to be, the Pope is the premier spiritual leader on the face of the earth, bar none. People frankly don't look to the Dalai Lama for what he has to say on, current events, or the Archbishop of Canterbury, or, any sort of spiritual, the head of the Mormon Church or whatnot. No one outside, the New York Times don't really care about that. They don't really hold that with the same weight as the Pontifex Maximus, right? And so because of that, I think it's really easy to, when the Holy Father, and he's done this, when the Holy Father comments on certain issues, certain current events, he tends to comment like a politician, and when he comments or takes action as a spiritual father, which is what he is first and foremost, it tends to be kind of shallow, and the world reaction is just kind of, oh, that's cute, this, it's kind of like your grandpa, your pious grandpa just praying in the corner that, his grandson will come to church or something like that, and the world doesn't really take him seriously when he responds as a priest, and moreover as the bishop of the world, really, because that's what he is. He's the leader of the church on earth. So him taking this action is very good. Just in terms of the image, just in terms of the symbolism, how the world might appreciate, this. I remember when the pandemic first really came down hard, and the world just stopped dead in its tracks. He gave a blessing, the Urbi et Orbi blessing, and he did it in the rain, in the cold, by himself, and it was powerful as a Catholic, as one of his children. But I had many of my secular friends, my atheist friends, my non-Christian friends, my non-Catholic friends tell me, like, that was powerful to watch. Watching this man, with this 80-something-year-old man with sciatica, with, all these other ailments, out there in the cold and in the rain, sort of looking over the whole world and blessing the whole world and taking responsibility for the world. And I think this will be one of those moments as well. I really do. If anything, it might be even more impactful. Now, all that being said, those are my just kind of general thoughts on that. The Holy Father's going to consecrate the Immaculate Heart. He will also be doing it in conjunction with him will be Cardinal Krajewski, I think is how you pronounce it. He will also be consecrating Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart in Fatima. Now, that is significant for a couple of reasons. One, the official, I should say, the official request from Our Lady concerning the consecrations at Fatima were that it would happen, that the Pope himself would do it, but in union with all the other bishops of the world. So this isn't just the bishop in Rome doing the consecration. It is led by and sort of spearheaded by the Bishop of Rome, but he is joined with all the bishops of the world in doing that as well. So it'll be interesting to see just how many other bishops do that. Obviously, we have this one bishop, Cardinal Krajewski, doing this, and he'll be doing it in Fatima, Portugal, which is significant. So, if there was any doubt, because in his tweet, the Holy Father doesn't mention anything about Fatima, but with this sort of conjunction with Cardinal Krajewski doing the consecration as well in Fatima, this is a direct, Pope Francis is responding directly to Our Lady's request. There's no doubt about that. He's doing this specifically because of Fatima. He's looking at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, and he's thinking, okay, I need to revisit Our Lady's request in Fatima. So that's a big deal. That really is a big deal. It's a big deal for a couple reasons. I gave you the first, that he's doing it in response to Our Lady's request in Fatima. But second, is that technically speaking, but also not really, but technically yes, but not really, Russia has already been consecrated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Like 6 or 7 times. Like I said, I'm no Fatima, I don't want to say I'm no Fatima devotee, because that makes it seem like I don't give it any credence, and that's not true. But I'm no Fatima expert. I'll put it that way. I have not read any books on Fatima. I've seen the most recent movie that came out like 2 years ago. And I've read about it in articles and just, listened to other people talk about it. But I'm no expert. However, about 6 times across, I think, 3 or 4 popes, I believe Pius XII, Paul VI, St. John Paul II, and Pope Francis have consecrated the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Pope St. John Paul II, he was the last person to kind of focus mainly on Russia, but if I remember correctly, I believe he said that he consecrates the people of Russia to the Immaculate Heart. And so that has led quite a few people to say that that the consecrations were not valid, that it did not actually happen. Now, what does that mean? Well, or how do I feel about it? In one sense, I think it is it sounds very Roman and very Western to say, well, the consecration isn't valid because of the incorrect words. That's very Western. That's a very Western, I feel, and very Roman argument. Do I think that by consecrating the world, you are de facto consecrating Russia as well, because Russia is part of the world. So in one sense, I think that making that argument that it's not valid because he says I consecrate the world is not completely fair. But on the other hand, I'm also a Catholic, and I understand, such as in sacramental moral theology, where sometimes words mean the difference between the body and blood of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ being present on the altar and just bread and wine being there. So, whether or not you feel or you think that Russia has been consecrated to the Immaculate Heart already by one of the previous popes, it doesn't really matter. That Pope Francis, if you think that it has already happened, and I might add, Sister Lucia, who was one of the children at Fatima that Our Lady appeared to, before she died, she claimed, she said on record that the consecration took place, that she believes it took place. And when it comes to private revelation, one of the seers, as they're known, she's one of the seers. So, her testimony and her opinion, I think, would bear some weight. But all that is to say, if you think that it's already been consecrated, it doesn't matter that Pope Francis were to do it again directly, because, things can be blessed multiple times. We as people are blessed every time we go to Mass. We are blessed whenever we receive the sacrament of penance. So, and technically speaking, you can bless items multiple times. It's not necessarily the best practice, I don't think, but it's not sinful, to my knowledge. So, there's that. And if you think that Russia has not been consecrated, then this could be the chance. This could be the chance to finally get it right. And it does seem that the Holy Father, like I said, the Holy Father does seem to be doing this specifically in response to what is happening. And some people make the argument that him doing it in response to what's happening with Russia and Ukraine is the Vatican sort of quietly saying that the most recent consecration by St. John Paul II was not valid. I don't know if I would go that far. I really don't. Simply because, again, things can be blessed multiple times. The world is blessed, constantly, but, also like every year, the Pope takes a specific time and a day to incur or to give the world the Ut Beat Orbi blessing. So do I think that this is the Vatican kind of quietly saying that JP2 didn't quite do it properly? No. Is it possible? Maybe, but I don't get that sense. I really don't. So yeah, it's a good news. It really is. I will be interested, however, now, in light of everything that's been going on, specifically within the trad space, concerning people saying that Pope Francis is not the Pope because he is a heretic, or he is not the Pope because His Holiness Benedict XVI did not resign properly, or, so on and so forth. I will be curious to see how the trad space reacts to this, because I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that with if Pope Francis consecrates Russia to the Immaculate Heart, and he finally, without any how can I say this, without any sort of rubrical ambiguity, says, does the red, says the black, and without a doubt consecrates Russia to the Immaculate Heart, I think it will be hard for people who question the legitimacy of his pontificate to continue to make that argument, unless they're going to say in the end that Russia still hasn't been consecrated because he's not the Pope. But the way I see it is, how could they make the argument that all this could happen in the post-conciliar era? Not only that an ecumenical council teaches heresy, but that we have a heretic pope, and he's the one that finally consecrates Russia to the Immaculate Heart. Given the time and given what Our Lady was talking about at Fatima, it would seem to me, if I had to guess, that is something she would probably mention, or at least allude to, that the church would enter into her passion, or into a passion of sorts, in which her princes, her bishops, and her leader, her bishop in white, apostatizes. So I don't know. This whole episode was very off the cuff and just kind of me laying out some facts, and just kind of giving my initial thoughts. But like I said, I think this is a very good thing. I'm very excited for it. I really, really, really hope, and I'll be praying a rosary tonight, and I'll be praying that on March 25th, which is a week from Friday, I believe, by that time, that all the bishops of the world will get on board with this. That'll be my next thing, is seeing just how many bishops publicly announce that they'll be doing this. I reside within the Diocese of Orlando, Florida. I want Bishop Noonan to get in on this. I am a canonical member of the Ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter. Bishop Lopes, I want him to get in on this too, and I think he will. I really do. I think he will. But all the other bishops, all of them, Cardinal Burke, Schneider, Strickland, even the not popular bishops, Supich, Wilton Gregory, Stika, Your Excellencies, all of you, whether or not you feel that Russia has already been consecrated, or whether or not regardless of how you feel about the legitimacy of the Fatima apparitions and the message at Fatima, join the Holy Father and consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart, and pray that this be the beginning of the end for not just the pain and suffering going on in Ukraine, but in the world. That's all I have to say about that. I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll keep coming back in with my thoughts. And until then, I ask that you pray for me, and I will continue to pray for you. Thank you so much.